Assalamu alaikum and good evening. You're watching Witness and I'm your host Quatrina Hossain. Imagine or visualize the following scenario. Pakistani helicopter gunships intrude up to a mile into Afghan territory. By accident or unplanned incident or however, they manage to kill 24 NATO troops and injure a dozen others. Pakistan reacts quickly, saying this was a mistake. We didn't mean to do it. We are looking into it. It's regrettable. It was not an incident that we would have wished, but stops short of formally apologizing, let alone groveling. What exactly would be the reaction of Western capitals? Would they be amused at Pakistan's stand? Would we not instantly be branded as being complicit in terrorist attacks across the border? Would we not be accused of being the epicenter of global terrorism? Would we not be accused of every incident in the past 10 years with the responsibility being laid firmly at our doorstep? Well, when it happens the other way around, when a NATO ISAF helicopter gunship kills 24 of our soldiers who were incidentally in a well-marked, well-defined concrete position. This was not a convoy. This was not a moving target. This was not a temporary camp. This was a concrete established Pakistan Army installation where there were 40 men present. How then do you manage to kill 24 people and injure another dozen by an inadvertent error? You see, the word I'm fascinated by, I keep using these euphemisms. Nowhere has it been said that this was an accident. And now we know the reason why. Western newspapers have been reporting that it was the Pakistani side that fired first and the NATO troops were merely defending themselves. That makes a lot of sense. Pakistani troops would open fire from an established stationary position from inside Pakistani territory. That makes all the sense in the world, right? I thought not. It doesn't make sense to me, and I'm sure it probably makes sense to very few other people. The Pakistan Army has also responded aggressively, saying that the claim that Pakistani troops fired first is simply a case of NATO and ISAF trying to wriggle out of the situation. There is no reason for the fire to be initiated from our area, says military spokesman General Athar Abbas. He said Mohmand agency has been cleared of militancy and the army has control of the area. We have lost 70 officers in the operation already. Now we have to face the brunt of NATO from the other side? That's General Athar Abbas. He further said that the firing lasted for over an hour and ISAF made no attempt to contact the Pakistani side. Well, it's going to be interesting to see how NATO manages to explain this away. We know for a fact that an inquiry has been ordered, but we are a little dubious about inquiries in Pakistan, at least, and I don't particularly see any transparency from the other side either. Well, here ends my diatribe, and let's see what my guests in the studio have to say. Joining me here in Islamabad, my first guest is Mr. Noor Khan. He's a member of the National Assembly representing the ruling Pakistan People's Party and hails from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Peshawar to be specific. My second guest in the studio today is Brigadier retired Sayyid Nazir Mohmand, who hails from the Mohmand agency where this attack took place. He is a defense analyst. And joining me from Gujranwala, an MNA from the Pakistan Muslim League N, Engineer Khurram Dastagir Khan, who also serves his party as the Deputy Information Secretary. Gentlemen, thank you all for joining me here today on this issue. Mr. Khan, the issue really over here is that do you think that the Pakistani government response has been adequate, needs more, or went too far?
Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Thank you, Quatrina. First of all, it's not the Pakistani government, it's attack on the Pakistani sovereignty, and they have attacked us. It's not the NATO forces, basically, it's the United States of America across the border, who are sitting in Afghanistan and always blaming us for incursion, or if somebody like a terrorist goes or do something, they blame us. But now, you know, it is quite like they have violated the United Nations Charter also.
That's
Charter,
right.
like violating the aerospace, then targeting the Pakistan army personnel, Pakistani people.
The NATO
And
mandate is
not,
limited entirely to the territory of Afghanistan.
Afghanistan. They cannot interfere or enter into the Pakistan and start hitting those posts where Pakistani army are there. Neither they can hit, I mean, even the drone attacks, they are also like under the UN Charter. It's against the law. But unfortunately, I think these US or NATO forces, they are like they have lost the battle in Afghanistan. Now they don't know what to do. What they are basically planning is that to attack Pakistani army and Pakistan side. It is, I mean, it is not tolerated. And let me assure you one thing, that it's not time for the blame game. What we have to do is that the entire nation, all the military, civil, and the Pakistani politicians, regarding of which party he belongs, we all have to stand united against them, and we have to tell them that, look, we don't tolerate such kind of acts. And if you do this, we are going to even, you know, we will block. These are very small issues.
Okay, we've taken a decision to block,
these are very small
NATO.
issues. Yeah. That the United States personnel who are roaming around in Pakistan, their movement should be restricted, one. The second, PAK-US military ties, they should be also, like, you know, we have to think about it, not only taking the Shamsi Air Base, we have to think about any other issue also, because we will not support such things. If they are going to kill our target our soldiers, we are not going to be a part of this war.
If this incident had happened briefly, if this incident had happened on our eastern border, and it was Indian helicopter gunships that had intruded into Pakistani territory and killed 24 of our soldiers, what would we have called it?
I think it would be a straight away of war.
It would have been an act of war.
I'm act of war, and I mean, Hina Rabbani, foreign minister, she has called the Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. But I think it's, as a Pakistani and a people representative, I believe that we should straight away tell them that, look, you have to take out your forces from the Pakistan. We are not going to help you out if you are going to do
out
these
of Pakistan.
kind of, yeah, I mean, because there are certain people whenever they
certain security people
so we don't want them.
Roam around that will in this country.
So those, when I say restriction of their movement, you know, they roam around in Pakistan, that restriction, they should be restricted.
I think, Mr. Noor Khan, this is a subject that Khurram, Dastagir and I and others have been harping on for years.
We all, because this is basically, you know, General Musharraf.
I'm going to return to this issue because Khurram Dastagir Khan presented a bill in Parliament in a private member capacity, but that just gathered dust. I will return to that. Brig, in a moment, this whole situation that you see over here, what do the people of that area, what are they saying about it? And you know that terrain very well. You know where this whole situation is. Give us a bird's eye view of what do you think was happening there.
Thank you, Quatrina, for having me on the program. And I must say, being a Pakistani and a Mohmand as a tribe, where this attack has taken place. These troops, Pakistani troops, were deployed well inside Pakistan territory, and their position were marked, and they were known to the ISAF forces as well as to the NATO. And in this case, many flag meeting has taken place on this border, and the border is well demarcated and known.
In this particular
area. There we have fought against the insurgents, and they have been pushed or they have been dissipated, and most of those villages are now almost vacated, and they are IDPs and will be coming back. But whatsoever these posts, one is that Salala Sar and another is Both Sar. These two posts are manned by the army, not by the FC.
Exactly, it's regular Pakistan Army.
Regular Pakistan Army, and regular Pakistan Army is having a hotline with the ISAF forces and with the NATO. So the question of ambiguity The questions of taking refuge, that we are sorry, or even apologize,
They haven't really apologized either.
They doesn't arise. Simple apology will not work, because it is a blatant violation. And number two, it is not an accident that an aircraft or a drone or an helicopter has intruded and it has fired some missile by mistake. No. From like 10 o'clock at night, the drones were there in the air, reaching the area.
Surveillance drones.
Surveillance. And then they were followed by the jets, so that the helicopters are given the protection. And then the helicopters came and they gave severe punishment to these two posts, to all the weaponry at their disposal. It was rockets as well as the missiles. And that's why it was deep penetrating and the casualties took place. What we were having in the kitty, that was small arms. So to say that it was a reaction, so that doesn't hold ground.
So you're a former military man. You say Pakistan Army was only equipped with small arms, but that's a military, I won't say a base, but it was definitely a significant outpost. Surely there must have been something other than just handguns and small arms. I mean,
the maximum could be 12.5 against the aircraft which we use.
Which is impossible.
But again, the gunship you can't use
helicopter
it because
gunships, you can't. I mean, you need surface-to-air missiles to take care of
that is protected against the small arms.
Right.
Only missile could help. And that could, but the missiles are not there.
Because this post wasn't meant to ever deal with an intrusion from the western side.
Yeah, but I'm astonished at one thing, two things. That is number one, that once this sort of activity was taking place, were we not aware? Because previously also the excursion has taken place and also the bombing has taken place through the drones as well as through the jets. Number two, what's the Air Force was doing? If our space was violated, and for that long time, at least they should have scrambled and scared the crow. But that was also not done. This what is my gut feeling. Why it has not been done.
Why did not? It's a very valid point, because I know that our alert level has gone up after the raid on May 2nd, which took out Osama bin Laden.
Exactly.
Okay, that one took us by surprise, but this one, surely we should have had some more alerts.
And the attack was terminated once they ensured that both the posts have been destroyed, enough punishment has been inflicted, and even the radio signals and the communication went off. So they ensured.
They ensured that. Mr. Dastagir Khan, you're hearing what our guests here are saying. What is your initial assessment of this attack? Brigadier Mohmand is clearly saying that this was a deliberate, absolute, pointed, if I can use the word, attack to take out these two checkposts. What is your assessment?
Quatrina, first we have to discuss among ourselves, and it's difficult. What do we tell the families of the martyrs that we lost in Salalah and the next? Because, you know, were they killed by the enemy? Were they fighting against enemies of Pakistan and they lost their lives, they gave their lives? And just the fact that we cannot tell the families of the martyrs what kind of war these troops were fighting tells you that these incidents, and this incident and earlier we've had Khurram incident, first we had American troops on the ground in Angul Adda back in September 2008, is that all the contradictions and craven compromises of the Musharraf and Zardari regime have led to this, in this war on terror, is that these secret agreements, these issues of Pakistan being simultaneously the most major non-NATO ally and also the target of military action by these Western forces and American forces, it just tells you that something is deeply wrong in Pakistan's policy on war on terror. And we should not treat this as an isolated incident. It is simply because when they came in September 2008 in Angul Adda, we did very little. When they came to Khurram back in September 2010, we stopped NATO supplies for 10 days, but then everything all went back to normal. There was a raid on Osama bin Laden. They came 100 miles into Pakistani territory, went back, outraged, but immediately nothing, no real change. And this has led to this, because sovereignty is a single fabric. If you don't protect each part of that fabric, in the end someone will try to tear it apart, and this is the end, that we have these martyrs in this blind war in which we don't know where we are going, and in fact the Americans don't know where they're going, and they are hurting us in a sort of blind rage because they're unable to control the territory of Afghanistan, and now they're trying to externalize this war on us and say, you know, oh, we are failing in Afghanistan because somehow the Pakistani army and its intelligence agencies are not helping us, or they're, you know, what we saw in the articles published this morning in newspapers, in some Western newspapers, that Pakistan army and its agencies are actively harboring such insurgents which hurt Americans in Pakistan. There's some fake issues of fertilizer manufactured in Pakistan which is used in IEDs in Afghanistan. So all these strange things, I think what we need to understand is that this is the time that Pakistan finally sits up all parties across the board, all institutions of the state, and demand that we stop the cooperation in the war on terror, suspend it, and bring Americans to the table and say, we need to discuss this, where you are going, where we are going, what is happening, what is the nature of the threat, how big is the threat,
right,
what do we need to fight it, because all these questions remain unanswered and Pakistani lives continue to be lost.
Yeah, Mr. Khurram Dastagir, you're raising critical questions here. I would like to add one to that list that you just gave. The tricky part over here is that the government has already told the US to vacate the Shamsi Air Base. They formally have for the first time stopped the supply chain of NATO, and some murmurings that Pakistan will not be participating in further political discussions, etc., bond, etc. Pakistan will not be part of that. Do you think this is enough, or what more do you think Pakistan should do?
I thought that Shamsi was already been vacated after the Osama bin Laden incident, but we are again told that somehow it is not vacated. Yes, we were told in Parliament that this will be done in that briefing in the joint session, and apparently there are still some American troops in Shamsi. So these things just keep coming up because the government has really not reckoned with this war. They say that, you know, we are fighting it. Yes, they fought it in Sawat, but they won that battle, but they are losing the war. They have to look at the larger picture, look at the strategic, and you know, I also have to bring it up, Quatrina, that this Salalah attack and the attacks like that earlier, and the Memo Gate scandal that, you know, this country is riveted in these days, these are aspects of the same crisis. With the crisis is that two successive governments, Musharraf and Zardari regime in Pakistan, have simply failed to protect Pakistan's interests, security interests, foreign policy interests when it comes to the war on terror. And in fact, we are seeing this failure in different sides. You know, every single day things get worse and worse.
All right. Mr. Khan, I think Khurram Dastagir Khan does raise a couple of valid points. Now, I did not know that you all had been told in Parliament that Shamsi Air Base had been vacated, and whoops, we still haven't got that done yet. How do we convey to the world community, and particularly NATO and the International Security Assistance Force, ISAF people, that we mean business if we don't follow through with our demands?
Well, the Prime Minister has already said it, and you know, we we have to call the APC first. I think they are going to call it, and plus the Americans, there should be a new negotiations, and it will be not like this, the way it was going. And Mr. Khurram Dastagir Khan was saying that, you know, it was Asif Ali Zardari. Excuse me, sir, it is not Asif Ali Zardari. We have to come out of this. This is General Musharraf's game, and he did it. Not
General Musharraf has been gone for 3.5 years. We could have turned this policy around a long time ago.
Well, it is. We are fighting against the terrorists. We are not fighting against anybody else. Those who are challenging the Pakistani authorities, those who are killing our soldiers, we are against them.
I'm sorry to have to say this, but the people who have killed our soldiers right now happens to be the world's superpower and its allies, and that is a very disturbing situation.
I'm just saying, according to me, I'll just say that, look, we have to, you want to cut the ties with the US, I'll say yes. Why not? Let's go for that. Can we do that?
Okay. Now, I'm just being told that it's imperative for me to take a break right now. I'm going to take a short break. When we return, this discussion continues. What does Pakistan have to do? Some people are actually talking about war. Well, surely it's not going to come to that, but, and here's a huge but, how do we tell the global community we are really serious if we don't follow through our words with actions? This and more after a short break. Please stay with us. Welcome back to Witness. Well, this just in a couple of hours ago, Mr. Alam, the problem is now that governments that are friendly to us, like the United Arab Emirates, is now asking that we should not demand the vacating of the Shamsi Air Base, or at least extend it. And President Zardari has said that, look, it was a decision of the Defense Cabinet Committee. So this is a complication. Now, I know that Hina Rabbani Khair, our foreign minister, has spoken to the Russian foreign minister, spoken to the Chinese. You know, the world community is getting involved over here. Do we stick to our guns, or what do we do now?
Definitely, we will stick to our guns, and they have to vacate Shamsi Air Base within 15 days. And it has been already decided. I think, we cannot tolerate such kind of acts which has been done by the United States or the NATO forces.
And I suspect your government would be in deep trouble with the people of Pakistan if you were to backtrack on this.
Look, Pakistan comes first. Our government have already, you must have seen it before, even that when APC were called. It was the first time that the Prime Minister called the APC, and we stood against the United States. Nobody's, in the previous regimes, like General Musharraf, when he received a single call, he took a U-turn on each and every. So we are the ones who are standing, and we will stand with our people. We are the people's representative, and I think this is, it cannot be tolerated. We have to tell the United States and the NATO forces that, look, if you do this, we have to, then we have also, we have got options. Yeah,
we've got options.
We will come to Afghanistan, and then what will you do? If we violate the airs, no. Let's, you're killing our soldiers. Yeah. You're killing our children, and we are the ones who are basically the front ally.
And then what is that? Give a dog a bad name and hang it.
35,000 people are being. We are the ones who have given sacrifices, not Americans. Only 3,000 Americans died, and they killed the entire.
Well, they launched two international wars, Iraq and Afghanistan.
So for God's sake, what are you doing when you are killing those soldiers who are fighting war on terror?
Okay. Now, Brigadier Mohmand, you are uniquely positioned at this point. I'm going to ask you to wear two hats. One is a former military man, and the other, of course, being from Mohmand Agency and knowing that terrain. Now, the Pakistan Army has been fighting in the tribal areas, in Mohmand Agency as well. Part of the job of the Pakistan Army there, the task is to stop cross-border movement between anybody who is against the interests of Pakistan or Afghanistan. And particularly the Americans have been talking about the Haqqani network moving back and forth in the tribal areas at will. After 24 troops, 22 Pakistan Army men are gunned down in cold blood, what will be the morale like in the Pakistan Army units that are positioned there and the local tribes people?
I can feel the agony of those soldiers who are there in their bunkers, and they were bombarded from the air and they couldn't do. The soldier is the one who can respond, and the strategic assets which were supposed to respond, they didn't respond. Means the air.
Air Force.
One. Second thing is, I know the distance. It's about more than 70 kilometers just to go to the Ghalanai hospital. And the injured ones were there. They must have gone for hours together to that agony.
That agony.
And third, I must say that it was not somebody enemy who was attacking. It was an ally which was attacking.
I think we want to say supposed ally.
Yeah, and that ally we claim it and we say it is our war. It is so sad, so unfortunate to embrace a war.
If you could come specifically to this point, now the Pakistan Army soldiers who are tasked with protecting and looking after that border and stopping incursions and movement, like America also accuses of. How committed will they be now? I mean, frankly, if I was a Pakistan Army soldier right now, I'd be saying, not my problem.
I suppose the quick pro quo response should have been that we are vacating the border posts.
Yeah.
We are coming back and we will leave it as a porous border.
Yeah.
Let the things get settled at its own.
Because I don't think...
And we will be going to a place where we can defend ourselves.
Exactly.
Through the missiles as well as through the air. That should have been one.
Stay with me, Khurram Sahab. This is a very good point. And second, what would
And second, quid pro quo, we should have severed all the lines. No communication, no intelligence, and no NATO supplies. Immediately.
We need to be tougher.
Yes, and fourth, on political side, we should have gone to the United Nations.
I suspect we will.
Yeah.
I'm hearing murmurs about that. Khurram Dastagir Sahab, you wanted to add something to that?
I want to say, Quatrina, because what we need to make the Americans understand is that we know that this war that they are fighting in Afghanistan is no longer against terrorists and Al-Qaeda. I mean, the CIA, the then CIA director, now Secretary of Defense, Leon Panetta, is on record on saying more than a year ago that less than 100 Al-Qaeda people remain on this border. So essentially, the Americans and the NATO troops are there to support a politically friendly government in Afghanistan, and that is why they're there. That's what they're supporting. So this is no longer a war against terror, and this is something that Pakistan should also understand and make the Americans understand that we know this is no longer a war against terror, and this, the whole basis of that alliance that we've had for last 10 years, one of the reasons it is unraveling is because we are no longer fighting a war against terror. And you see this sequence of events of Raymond Davis, then Osama bin Laden, now this, is about telling us that Pakistan's diplomacy, I must have to add here, has been a great disaster. That this great ally that we have had, now we are at the nadir of our relations. Probably the greatest distrust the two countries have ever had in their history is happening now. So what kind of foreign policy is being conducted by this government? So this incident which has happened 2 days ago, please, we have to ensure that these troops, 2 officers, have not shed their blood in vain. We have to learn some very harsh lessons for us and make the Americans learn those harsh lessons, and to ensure that our troops, their lives, their blood is as sacred to us as they consider their troops' bloods.
And Khurram Sahab, I would like to quickly add one more question to that. It just kind of makes me wonder, and now I'm asking all of you to go into the realm of speculation or analysis. Do you think, I mean, this is just my thought, do you think that this attack could have been deliberate also to force Pakistan out of the entire PAK-Afghan US talks process? Are they trying to push Pakistan away or deliberately isolate Pakistan, knowing that this would light a fuse within Pakistan?
I personally do not think so. I think it's part of their campaign to externalize their failure to essentially blame Pakistan for their failure to stabilize Afghanistan in any sensible or reasonable manner. For 10 years they've been there. It's probably the longest war the United States has fought, and it has turned out to be a great failure. And now that's what trying to do, the rationale that is coming out that they were fired from this side and therefore we responded. Mr. Mohmand is absolutely correct on this. They know precisely where these border posts were. And these border posts, in fact, were created, if we can accept to that, under American pressure that we should, start patrolling our western border as seriously as we do our eastern border. And so we created those posts under, sort of in our lines. And what do you see? We are told continuously by the Pakistan government that they have this trilateral dialogue that happens on the PAK-Afghan border with the US, sort of every few months. What happened to those channels of communication? What is going on that the Americans just come and destroyed two sitting border posts which troops were supposedly, I will once again say, were fired by so-called allies?
And I'm calling it unfriendly fire. One of the issues, Brig, in a moment, of course, the point you raised about where was the Pakistan Air Force is a critical point, and I believe that we will get a chance to put these questions to our military leadership in the next 24 to 48 hours. Mr. Noor Alam Khan, of course, I now, again, Khurram Saab says he doesn't quite, agree with my thesis, or at least a suggestion that maybe this is some kind of effort to isolate Pakistan. So what do you think would have been the reason for this? I mean, we have to also talk about the motive for why NATO and America and ISAF would carry out this rather insane, I would use the word, attack.
Look, as I've previously said, that basically it's the failure of their, they cannot control
So you agree with Khurram
Afghanistan.
Saab in that,
Yeah,
in that
course.
context?
That's why they now they are targeting Pakistan army. They are like showing the world that, and indirectly I think threatening us that you have to help us out. I mean, we cannot come to Afghanistan and safeguard you there. This is your duty.
Or ask us to come to Afghanistan officially and help you out.
Well, yeah, I mean, if
you don't have the guts to handle it, tell us.
Then tell us. But I think that they want us that we should safeguard them in Afghanistan. They want our troops there, but we will not go there. It is a sovereign nation, and Afghanistan is a place where invaders are not welcome.
No,
so they have to think about their policies. By going out from Afghanistan, they've lost a battle. It is just like a Vietnam there for
and
them.
If you remember,
they don't control anyone outside Kabul.
Yeah,
they are no
and
there.
I would like to remind you that in the last days of Vietnam, the Americans started bombing Cambodia.
Yeah.
That was a sideshow. So, it was...
So that they are doing the same thing with us. They are killing our children. They are and I'm amazed that United Nations and the human rights, why are they so quiet? Why are they not raising any voice? Because
I'll answer that question for you, because we have been painted as the terrorist of the world.
Mr. Khurram Dastagir has said that it's not. It's my brother has said that, but let me assure him that
Khurram, I'll come back to you
right now it is not a Pakistan People's Party government. It is the Pakistan sovereignty. We have to be united, and we will go to United Nations.
But that doesn't mean that we don't have to fix our problems. Khurram Saab, briefly, because I have to take a break, then I'll come to Brig in a moment.
What I was saying is the US is currently pursuing a double strategy of simultaneously talk and also war. And this is, I think, this attack that has happened on Pakistani soil is part of that escalation of the war part, because they want to bring the Afghan Taliban to the table. And this is in fact a signal being sent to them that we can do whatever we wish on both sides of the border. You better come to the table on the other side. It is part of that dual strategy. This is what makes most sense to me.
That makes sense to you. We are going to take a short commercial break. When we return, we will talk about this very fact, that what did the Americans and the NATO forces hope to achieve, and what have they actually achieved? This after a short break. Please stay with us. And welcome back to Witness. Brig, in a moment, I'd like to give you the floor. What do you think NATO was trying to achieve? What did they think they were going to achieve by an attack like this?
Quatrina, before that, let me clarify one thing, and that is that this attack has been pre-planned. It was having the nod of the highest top brass.
You believe that?
It can't happen out of blue, and it can't be planned at a lower level. It has been planned by all the stakeholders in Afghanistan, and they targeted this place. You wanted to know what were the aims. Number one, since they are getting a bloody nose in Afghanistan, the IEDs are taking a toll of them. The air is not all that effective, and plus the Afghan jirga was there, and that was also divided, and most of the people didn't participate. So the Cambodian analogy comes into play, one, so that they could intimidate us, because we were brought in this war through the coercive diplomacy. And on the gunpoint, you can say
we'll bomb you back to the Stone Age, was the phrase Richard Armitage had used.
That has not faded out. The Fatah has been reduced to the Stone Age, and now they want to Pakistan with the same threat. So they want to intimidate us to cooperate on our terms, one. Second thing is that since we are having some internal problems, like this memo gate, and that is also a deliberate strategy. So on that front, we are a bit divided, or not on the same page, or so they wanted to exploit that as well. And thirdly, since they want us to reinforce the failure, and we know that there is a failure, so it will be a foolhardy on our part to reinforce the failure.
Absolutely.
And stay with them. So probably here is a time come that whether we continue with this war or we say goodbye to this war and manage our house, because we can't confront them, but at the same time we can withdraw, and we can secure our borders, and we can talk to our people.
Which, you know, I mean,
I suppose the resolution passed by the parliament.
I'll talk to you, Khurram.
The parliament.
I'm coming straight to you, Khurram. Hang on.
The 3D.
Hang on, Khurram, just 1 minute.
The 3 Ds which were passed by the parliament, that is the deterrence, the dialogue, and the development. Only the deterrence have been so far applied, not
and this is, with all due respect, Khurram, Noor Saab, this has been a failure of the People's Party government. We have not, I'll come to you, let me say, I want to give you the final word. Khurram Saab, you were saying something.
Yeah, this is yes, they can blame Musharraf all they want, but they have been in power for nearly 4 years. They have failed to review all those secret understandings and agreement. I mean, Americans are claiming that there is some understanding with the Pakistan government reached during this regime, is that they can come up to 6 kilometers inside Pakistani border. So all these claims that the Americans make, they make these claims on drones, they make these claims on these so-called high seas chase, they make these claims on other engagement that they've had inside Pakistan. So it is the time to bring all those secret agreements into the open. We cannot have these secret understandings away from the scrutiny of the people, representative of the people of Pakistan, because what is happening is that these incidents happen. The Americans claim they have these nudges and winks from the Pakistan government, first Musharraf, now Zardari, and they continue to operate as before. This simply cannot be allowed to continue, and we need to challenge all what the Americans say for Pakistan government to bring it out if they have anything in open. Otherwise the American word stands.
Absolutely. Mr. Noor Alam Khan, one of the issues over here really is that in many ways this government has been fairly defensive through its almost entire 3.5 tenure, mainly because of domestic compulsions. But, and here's a huge but, revealing secret agreements made by the Musharraf government, or pretty much coming clean right now, can only strengthen the hand of the Pakistan People's Party. I don't see why the People's Party remains on the back foot on this front.
I think it has been revealed, each and everything has been revealed in
Not really, we don't
by
know
the
what
general, basically because, you know, it has been revealed by the Chief of Army Staff and the DG-ISI. So if Mr. Khurram Dastagir is not aware of that, I mean,
well, it was an in-camera session, so we are not allowed to reveal a lot of that. But
there are certain things which cannot be disclosed in the media and to the public.
But why not? I mean, at this point, I think, why not?
Because it was done in the previous regime through, according to the sources, you know, like in the best interest of Pakistan. Or like because General Musharraf did that.
If there are mistakes, if we have committed to cooperating in the drone program.
If somebody is blaming President Zardari for this,
I'm sorry, he is
ill-informed. Why is Mr. Khurram Dastagir Khan taking the name? Right now it is time to be united and stand.
Khurram Saab, you were saying something.
I said I'm not blaming anyone. I'm holding the person responsible who is the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces of Pakistan. 24 Pakistani troops have died, and whoever is the Supreme Commander has to be held responsible. If there are certain agreements made by his predecessor or by him, these have to be now revealed, because Pakistanis are dying. They have been dying. Now we are being victims of these wanton attacks for which, you know, we are difficult to find reasons. And it just seems that we are lost and trapped in this blind war in which we don't see any light at the end of the tunnel.
Absolutely. Okay, Noor Alam Saab, he's saying that if any agreements were signed in the Musharraf era, yeah, they can be made public. And if President Zardari has signed any, it can, you know, just say, okay, we made a mistake, take them back.
Look, the Pakistan People's Party government has done nothing wrong. Okay, we are defending our own soil. We are defending our own civil. I mean, those people who are challenging the Pakistani.
It's been difficult.
So he's telling us that, you know, like, we are not intruding into Afghanistan. Renegotiation with United States.
280. How do you defend that?
Pardon?
How do you implement that?
We
I
are
said
going to implement it.
280 drone attacks during this government, not Musharraf, this government. How do you defend those 280 drone attacks that have happened on Pakistani soil during the time that this government has been in power?
I think if we can, well, drone attacks, we have told them, and
they've taken us very seriously.
yeah, well, they should.
See, I mean, this is a problem. You know, I'm afraid I'm running out of time over here. But the obvious question, the obvious point over here, briefly, is that this time round, you know, if you keep behaving like the boy who cried wolf, and you don't really ever do anything about it, when the wolf really comes along, then the boy, nobody listens to the boy. Is Salalah a watershed in the war on terror as far as Pakistan is concerned?
Look, Salalah or anywhere, we cannot, like I've said it, that we have to tell the Americans and the NATO forces.
We keep telling them.
No, telling them that we will, well, we can back out. We have to leave, like, you know, we will vacate those posts.
Okay, so now we have, I think
we can
Brig
go for
Mohmand's
that.
suggestion over here has been the most solid suggestion I've heard in recent days.
Plus, we will not allow the logistics to go to Afghanistan. These are, and the other issues also. And yes, definitely, Pakistan government will take this issue in the United Nations.
Absolutely,
and
have to.
Even in other places
other
also.
forums. We of course have to do a lot. But Brig Mohmand, I think so far I'd like your suggestion.
Operational logistic intelligence support.
I just have to one point.
Briefly.
America is basically not winning a war, and they want a face saving.
Yeah.
And their face saving, they want to achieve it with a lot of pride.
Absolutely.
Their pride, they are sensitive to that.
Well,
But if they bully Pakistan and bully it in this way, so probably then it will not be a face saving, it will be a coup de grace.
All right.
So if they want to, if they are prepared for the coup de grace, probably that is not far. Because only if the stinger like or SAMs are added to this dimension, there will be no American who can dare to stay in Afghanistan. So I suppose they should understand the sensitivity
and the gravity of
the situation.
I'd like to leave it there because I have run out of time. I'd like to thank my guests here in Islamabad, Mr. Noor Alam Khan and Brigadier Retired Sayyid Nazir Mohmand. Thank you both for joining me here in Islamabad. I'd like to thank Khurram Dastagir Khan, who joined me from Gujranwala. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the point about this whole scenario. I keep asking what were the Americans on NATO or ISAF hoping to achieve. And well, here's a tiny little example. I'm your ultimate liberal peacenik, you know, believe in peace and believe in all that kind of stuff. And here I'm enraged. 24 of our people are dead. 24 of our soldiers are dead. These are people dedicated their lives to protecting this country, and for them to be killed by unfriendly fire is beyond reprehensible. And Brigadier Mohmand just so makes a point. The reason why the Pakistan Army is there is in consonance with the stated position of preventing cross-border incursions. If you're going to kill, when I say you, if the NATO forces are going to come and kill our soldiers on the border, then we should simply leave that border. It's no skin off our noses, really, is it? And deal with security problems within our own country and let everybody else fend for themselves. Is that what NATO wants to achieve? Well, that's not too bright now, is it? We will bring you more on this issue, but for tonight, that's all we have from Islamabad. Quatrina saying Khuda.